Hey guys, welcome back to 25 Sweetpeas. So today's post is a little different. It is a paint with me towards the latter half of the video, but first up I'm going to be reviewing some polishes from Nicole Diary, and then I'm going to talk about the brushes that I'm going to be using from them as well, exclusively in this nail art. So let's take a look at all of that and see what I thought. First up, I want to talk about the polishes from Nicole Diary. So I started to swatch them and the polish seemed really nicely. However, the more that the bottle was open, I realized that the fumes were extremely strong compared to most nail polishes that I am used to using. And I usually have a pretty high tolerance for that, but this was just too much, and I felt like for health reasons it was probably just the best decision to skip swatching all of these just because they were really strong and my whole room smelled like it for a good few hours. So beyond the smell, the polish was pretty nice. As you can see in the swatch picture above, the yellow looks really nice on. It had a good formula. It took 2 coats and that was it. The brushes of the polish were really nice, and it was a good using experience. However, when I removed the polish, my nails were stained, as you can see in this picture as well. Sadly, the picture that you are seeing was after nail polish remover 2 times and after a sugar scrub that I did to hopefully help remove some of the staining. However, it did not work. And as I am editing this video, it is actually 2 or 3 days later, and I still have a hint of the yellow staining left on my pinky nails. So something all to keep in mind. And I think that is all you guys need to know about the polish. Next up, it is time to check out the brushes. Today I'm going to be using these 3 different brushes for the nail art that I'm going to show you, and all of these are from Nicole Diary. So first I thought I would just go through what they look like. So first up, I'll show you the turquoise one. As you can see, it has a pretty nice fine tip. It is longer, so it should be pretty decent for stripes. And that one, the lid comes off nicely. Next up we have the pink one, which is shorter. It is still thin. It should be really good for details. And I feel like this type, you have more control over where the brush goes, which I personally like. And now we'll go on to the last one, which is the blue one. I really like the packaging. As you can see, like, it's got the crystals in the top, and this is your lid. And this lid is tricky to get off, but there it is. It's a nice brush. Like, they have a nice weight to them, and it feels, you know, like a quality brush. So let's quickly get a shot of all the different tips. There you go. The middle one is definitely the smallest and will be really good for details, and these 2 are more of your like striping brushes. So there's a look. Now let's see how they perform. For this nail art tutorial, I am wearing OPI Susie Without a Paddle. It is from the Fiji collection. It is a light baby blue almost, and it is just 2 coats. Okay, so first up for this design, I'm going to work on these 2 nails right here. They are going to be my lemon nails, so I'm going with the pink brush, and I'm just going to draw in some little lemons. So it's kind of like a circle, but you kind of want it to have almost like a little tip. So actually, I said circle, it's kind of more of an oval. This brush is pretty decent. I wish it were moving a little bit smoother than it is, but that could be just this yellow. But there's 1 lemon, and we're just going to scatter those throughout on these 2 nails. I'll show you this nail, and then I will do the other one off camera. Yeah, as you can see, it's a very stiff brush, like there's not much movement. But it's still doing the job, so. Again, like I said, not much movement, which is kind of a bummer. We'll just add part of a lemon up here. Okay, there we have one lemon. Okay, now that I have both of the lemons on both of my nails, I'm going to move on to these two. Now off camera, I quickly put 2 dots in the center of my nail just so I could follow that better on camera. So for you, it's probably best to like hold your hand like this to you so you can see the exact center. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that dot here and we're just going to pull it out to the edge of your nail. You want that to be like that. Now you can see, you can always make up any touches, and we're gonna fill that in so you don't have to worry about your lines being like precise. And now we're gonna take this same dot, you can kind of just go down from it and make sure it's in the right spot. I'll darken that one. We're gonna go the same. And there you go. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna fill this one in at the top. And if you mess up here, you can do that, fix it with your cleanup. And we are gonna make that line more precise later in this tutorial. So now we're gonna go down here and we're gonna put a straight line. I'm gonna draw this one up. As you can see, this brush is not very precise at all. So I'm not sure about this one yet. It's not giving me the fine lines that I would like. So now once I have that squared, I'm going to come out here, make a little triangle. I'm going to go ahead and do it here as well. That one kind of just goes off the edge of your nail, and I'm going to go ahead and back to the other side and do the same. And we are going to fill in those shapes. So just go in here, fill it in. And again, if your lines are not precise, because with this brush it is basically impossible apparently, we are going to clean that up, so don't worry about it. And now I'm going to go on to the next nail. Okay, now I have the tribal-like design on both of my first 2 nails. So while those dry and kind of just set, I'm going to go ahead back in with the white and kind of give the lemon some detail. Just kind of be like a little shine, so you can put a few little dots here and there on the lemons, just to give them a little something extra. And by the way, I'm still using the pink brush because it is the smallest. We are going to go in with one of the other ones here shortly though for some more details. Okay, and once you have those dots, you let those dry before we move on to the next step. Okay, next up I have the turquoise brush, as you can see here, and I'm gonna go in onto the tribal nails and kind of just give this hopefully a little outline. This is like a really first test of these brushes, so you guys are really gonna see how they behave. A bit too much paint, we'll see how this works. I'm using a cobalt blue acrylic paint, just because usually those work the best. Okay, this one is being a bit nicer than the previous brush we used. It could still be a tad bit pointier, but I'm afraid if I get too much on the brush, then it'll be too much. So we'll leave that like that, and I'll move on to this one. try my best to keep the lines even. But these brushes are a bit stiff. Okay, we've got that. Now what I want to do is I kind of want to outline the bottom of this. That worked pretty nicely. Now here's where we're gonna kind of just clean up those lines and hopefully get them straighter and sharper. Hoping you guys can see this. And there you have it. Now we are going to go back in with yellow on these nails as well, just to give it also a bit more detail. So now we're going to move on here and do the same thing we just did on the other nail over here. So overall, so far anyway, this brush is okay. It's not my favorite in the world for sure. It is a bit stiff compared to what I'm used to using. But at the same time, it's not too soft because you want something kind of in the middle, because soft is good, so you can move it, but too stiff can also be just too much and not enough control. So there you go. Now, while that is drying, we are gonna go ahead and add in our yellow detail to those nails. So let's get the yellow going. The paint seems to really stick to the bristles on these brushes. For some reason, like it gloops up. So now we're just gonna kind of go in here and we're gonna try to make a little triangle. Give this some more yellow to bring in the lemons. This is a very cobalt blue and yellow vibe going on here, because we're gonna do some, believe it or not, we're gonna do the details on the lemons, like leaves. They're gonna be blue, just for something fun and different. We're gonna go over this with yellow. And now that is you look at your final nail. So we'll just do the same thing over here. You could use the pink brush again, but I feel like this one has actually better control for some reason. And there you go. Okay, so now we're gonna go in and put cobalt blue leaves on the lemons, and I'm gonna be using the same turquoise based brush because I find it has the most control, and this blue one here is too long for doing fine details. So, gonna try this. You can go in and create little white lines to give this a little bit more of a realistic effect. I feel like this is a very Draper James southern floral print, and floral is completely the wrong term because actually there aren't any flowers, but I think you guys get what I mean, most likely. Very Southern Kitchen print. Yeah, that's a better terminology. Go ahead and try to put one over here. I'm going to try to bring this one up a little bit. And while we let that dry, I think we are gonna go ahead and get out the white and put in some white very little lines into those leaves while they're still a bit wet. And for this one, I am going to use the dark blue because I feel like it's super fine and I'm not gonna put much paint on the brush. So let's try this real quick. A few little detail lines. This brush is okay. It's kind of getting blotchy, maybe is the correct term. Where it's actually not really transferring anything. So we're gonna actually move back to the other brush, back to the turquoise one. That other one was just barely picking anything up. Okay, and then there you go. Now, while this is doing its thing, I am going to add just little groups of white dots here in the background. And we're going to turn these into cute little flowers. So I would suggest like 4 little white dots. You could do this with the dotting tool, but I've just decided to go ahead and use the brush that I'm using. You're just going to want to use the tip of it. Off to the edge here. And I think instead of making the center of the flower yellow like you probably would any other time, I'm going to go ahead and make it the cobalt blue, just to bring even more blue into this design. One flower over here. And again, if you don't like the little flowers, you could have easily stopped with just the lemons and the details, and you could have been done there. However, we thought to take it a step further with some little white flowers. So while that dries, we're gonna just wait and then we'll add in our flowers. Okay, now that my flowers are dried, I'm just gonna go back in with that same cobalt blue I was using earlier and add a little center to each of these little flowers. And then once we're done with that, we can put on our favorite top coat. So I think this would look great shiny or matte. However, today I'm going to be doing matte just because I've been doing a lot of shiny recently and I thought it'd be nice to change things up. So stay tuned for pictures of the final look. And here's your final look. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If there's any information you want to read about more in depth, be sure to check out the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.